Hey everyone, welcome to Random Cloud Chats. It's episode 7, and we are talking about certifications.
Yeah.
It's powered by Learn to Cloud. Forgot that.
Cloud Duo live. Well, not live, but in person. Together.
Yeah.
Together in person. Yeah. Second episode in person. Yeah. I brought up this topic because of that tweet that you mentioned about how the advice on certifications has always just been all over the place. People will tell you get them, don't get them. You know, they're worth it, they're not worth it, whatnot. So the way I want to approach this conversation is mainly just kind of talk about the certification or like our career journeys and the certifications that we had and if they were actually impactful. Oh my goodness, shout out Queens. If they were actually impactful, if they were impactful, how did they make an impact? If they weren't, you know, and maybe any other certifications we wish we would have had at that time. And overall, just kind of get a summary of, you know, the impact of certifications on our career, and perhaps this can be better advice for someone instead of just saying like, yes, get something, or no, don't get something. But before we start, maybe just mental health check.
I think 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, how about you?
What's got you at a 7? Because you were at an 8 last
Yeah.
week.
Was I? Yeah. I think it was just, time off.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I was at 8, and now,
You're
it's
back
normal. On. Yeah. I think 7 is good.
Yeah. I would say I was at an 8 last time. I think I'm still at an 8. I'm back. I took time off last week too.
Yeah.
But I came back and things were sort of already going. Like I was worried when I was off that stuff was going to be stuck. But a lot of the projects that I'm working on are in motion. Everyone's playing their part, which is awesome.
Nice.
Great team and whatnot. So yeah, I'm at an 8. We went to the Microsoft office yesterday, and we'll probably film a video tomorrow there. So people can get a feel for what it looks like. But we left literally at 9, and then we came back around 4, and then we worked another 5 hours. So we had a full, like, really long day. But it was great to have like that as my the first day back, because we got a lot done.
Yeah, definitely. I think nothing is better than a good productive Monday.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely worked more than 4 hours. You know, people say that they don't work more than 4 focused hours. I definitely did do more than that. So that was great. Yeah. How are we? We were off. We've been just like kind of hanging out, getting food, doing things that we don't really have any eventful stuff that has happened this past. No. Yeah. So maybe next episode we'll have stuff to recap. But yeah, we're all just getting back into the swing of things. I had my annual, what do we call, rewards conversation today.
Yeah.
So and we did our salary bit podcast, the one before, and it's already, I already have to update it, but I'll do a YouTube video updating it maybe instead, and then maybe we'll talk salary like in an episode in like a couple of months or something like that. But yeah, that was a good conversation. Do we have any news? Any
layoffs?
Layoffs? No. Did you hear the thing about Cloudflare?
I saw some tweet.
Yeah, I saw some tweets and
but
news
I didn't
too,
look up what it was.
Yeah,
the tweet was like, it didn't have much context, so I don't know.
Yeah, so what I had seen was, I didn't really look into it, so I can't really give an informed opinion and whatnot. But it was some sort of thing about Cloudflare. I don't want to say hosting, but being part of some website that was part of like harassing people.
Okay.
Like in some, I might be saying the wrong words, but from what I understand is Cloudflare has a part to do with some website that isn't doing like great things.
Okay. So
being online,
they're part of it, as in, I guess they're like, providing services.
Yeah, providing services.
Okay.
I don't know if it's hosting or if it's like
protection,
CDN or something.
Yeah.
And then I saw the tweet mentions the CEO of Cloudflare being like, you have the power to take this down. That's all I know. I'm gonna have to look into it, so provide a more informed opinion on it for the next episode. That's the only kind of big news thing I saw for I guess in tech this week.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? Anything on the Blind app?
No
Blind app.
Most of them were offers.
Okay.
People comparing offers, and
it's interesting. It seems like the layoffs and stuff and freezing news has slowed down. I don't want to say it's done. I don't want to give anyone that idea, but
true.
I feel like it's slowed down and whatnot. So yeah, Anyway, we got a reactor relaunch event tomorrow. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
We have, I think, about 77 people RSVP'd, which is an interesting number. I think usually when we do in-person events, we can expect like maybe 50% people.
Yeah, I usually go with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then in the next episode, we'll have an update on how that went. I have a fun activity in mind that I will talk about in the next episode as well. So should be a good time. You're gonna do lightning talk there.
Yeah.
And then over the weekend you have HackOn and whatnot. But yeah, overall it's a week of like just stuff in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff getting done and whatnot. So solid week.
It's nice.
Yeah, let's talk certifications. Like what was the let's talk through our careers and like and we'll say like when we got certifications, you know, whatnots. But retail, no certifications. Help desk, towards the end of the help desk, I got AWS Certified Developer Associate.
Okay.
But in my, I guess, experience with certifications or my questions and whatnot about it wasn't just like, oh, I picked that one and that's it. I had a bunch of colleagues because we had a fund. I think I mentioned this in my last episode that we had a fund where you could spend like $1,000 a year on any certification or books or whatever you wanted. And I was like trying to figure out what is the best one for me to start with. Because I didn't know, I knew I was in help desk, but I didn't really know where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. So that makes it really difficult for you to kind of pick a certification. And a lot of people were doing like, remember the old Windows certs?
Yeah, server.
Yeah,
server
management. Yeah, like, and a lot of them, a lot of people had Network Plus and just like those, and so they would say like go for those and things like that. But I wasn't really interested
That's
in.
not you wanted to do.
Because I was like, I don't want to study for something that I'm really not too interested in. And it was because I was at the help desk gig and talking to that team that they were like, why don't you look into the AWS ones? And the AWS ones were relatively new around that time. So, because we're talking about 2016-ish, 2017 around time. Yeah. And I have a bias toward, around that time, I had a bias towards like new technology because I was like, I wanted to give myself kind of like the upper hand.
Yeah. And not be so you don't have to transition later, right?
And not do like the same that everyone's doing. And then I remember talking to the CEO of the help desk company that I worked at, and I was like, I'm interested in this one. He's like, yeah, it's probably a good move. Do that.
Okay.
So that was enough for me. Maybe it took me like a month or so of like kind of asking around and getting a feel for what I wanted to do. Plus, you know, getting the opinions from people who work with the technologies and whatnot, and they were like, yeah, it's a good move. And that was enough for me to like go and take the plunge and get that one.
Okay.
Major impact in terms of like the impact on my career and like getting my career started. It was the most impactful certification that I've gotten.
Okay.
But it took me a while to study for that because I had zero cloud knowledge. 6 months.
Straight away went for an associate.
Yeah.
That's developer focused.
Yeah, I don't think they had fundamentals back then.
Cloud practitioner?
Yeah, I think that's relatively like newer in the last couple of years. But I don't think they had those when I was going for. So the first one was the associate level, and then the thing about the associate level developer was there wasn't a lot of content on that one. There was
it was not so popular.
Yeah.
Amongst the associates.
Yeah, the solution architect was the popular one, had more. But even then, like back then it was just Linux Academy pretty much.
Oh, you mean as vendors that were providing training?
Yeah, just Linux Academy, and it was a lot more associate solution architect focused stuff. But they had a developer course that took me 6 months to go through. A lot of fun. I remember messing around with Lambda, not really understanding its impact, like what I'm actually doing. But yeah, I did that. Shout out Linux Academy, man. Linux Academy was just...
It was different.
It was so different than any platform that exists now. And I think with like the hands-on labs, with just the instructors, you could tell how passionate they were, like how like knowledgeable they were.
Yeah.
It was just new. It was just such a new spin on educational, like technical content. Obviously, they were acquired, so they're not a thing anymore. But yeah, that was freaking great. And then that certification was the one that taught me everything I needed to be able to apply to like my sysadmin gig, and where I had cloud questions, and then I eventually had cloud tasks, and that definitely did prepare me for all those kinds of things. Even though it was in Azure, like I got my fundamentals from that cert. Okay. So yeah. And that was like 160. How much is 175? And around that.
It's 150 plus taxes.
Yeah. So
US dollars. Around
that amount of money. Probably $150 changed my life, dude. Like, that one certification definitely did.
Yeah.
If I were to go back and probably do another. I don't think I would have added anything else. I think the best thing that I did was just take my time.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't care about Twitter. I didn't care about, I didn't know about any of these things.
Yeah.
So there was no one really influencing me because you know, a lot on like LinkedIn and what, you'll see people passing certifications every couple of weeks.
Trying to,
yeah. But I took my sweet time, and I think that was the best thing that I could have done at that time. So yeah, shout out to that certification. It's expired now. I don't think I'm ever going to renew it.
Okay.
Not anytime soon. Yeah. But if I did want to go for a certification in AWS, I'd go for that one again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my, I could say kind of education and working part-time, no certifications. And then once I got into help desk, I did the cloud practitioner, which ended up landing me the cloud engineering role. The pick for cloud practitioner was because everybody recommended that. If I didn't know, I didn't know AWS was and like all the services, and I needed to learn, different Dash as a service models.
Yeah.
Billing, all of that. So I think that foundational certificate did help me get the non-engineering part of things too. Cost optimization, so all of that. And I think learning a lot of new terms, which are just cloud based. So yeah, I think it was $99. My company paid for it. So
sweet.
They also paid for the subscription. I think I took Linux Academy and a Cloud Guru.
Oh, sweet.
But I only did like Linux Academy for a month, and then I shifted to a Cloud Guru for labs and stuff, and then I stick to that because they were like, try both and then we'll keep one subscription for you. So yeah, that's what I did, and I think they got me like a yearly subscription at the end. So sweet. Like I tried both of them for a month and then canceled the monthly and then got a yearly subscription. But yeah, that was my first cert. It took, like you said, it took me a long time. And I was not aware about, people posting on LinkedIn, people posting on Twitter. So for me, it was, just diving in, and like, if I didn't understand a concept, like I would go back and do like the whole section again kind of thing. So like really trying to understand a concept. That's the only one I did in help desk.
Dude, I remember passing, and I was just I had felt like I had graduated from college.
Like that, I had the same feeling.
I remember like I texted my family group chat. I was like, oh my goodness, I passed. And they were like, we don't know what you're talking about, but congratulations. I was like so excited because I really did struggle to study that. And the first one is the hardest because you know nothing. You have like no base knowledge. But it was
I don't think I get that feeling anymore. But yeah, that feeling was just
no, not anymore.
Crazy.
I remember like passing, like my latest certification was the Linux Essentials. I was like, all right, cool, but nowhere near the excitement from that first one.
I remember like we had pizza for lunch the next day, like at workspace, because they were happy too. They're like, oh, this is awesome. Huge that you passed it. Definitely. It just made me one step closer.
In both our cases, it helped to move into a cloud role. Like for me, my hiring manager told me it for the sysadmin gig. It's like, you had the certification. It kind of made me realize that you're dedicated to learn the stuff on your own. Which I don't know if that would happen now. It's tough to, even back then, it wasn't a guarantee that was something that was going to help you stick out. But it did for me. After that, like my sysadmin gig, no certs. At my cloud engineer role, no certs at all. Then I went to my role at ACG, and I had wanted to improve my Linux skills, so I sort of challenged myself to get a Linux certification, but that wasn't for a role or anything like that. It was just more so to just test,
personal interest,
to force myself to like. I was like, I want to take this in a month, book it in a month, and I know I have to go and learn. But I didn't use any courses specific to I have the Linux Essentials. I just got that book that I recommend to everyone, the Linux Basics for Hackers. And that was the one that kind of taught me everything I needed to know, because it does teach you like the fundamentals of a lot of Linux bash commands, which is what you're tested on for Linux Essentials. It is multiple choice. I did that. Oh wait, I forgot about the AZ900. Hold on. I think I did the AZ900 in the summer of 2020. So right before I became an Azure MVP,
Oh, okay.
I did AZ900, but the only reason I did that was because people were saying it's too easy and not worth people's time. And
so you had to test, like, see.
I was that
Curious.
opinion upsets me because how are you going to say that to a beginner, like, oh, the fundamental certifications are not worth your time? It's easy for you to say that because you're like a professional one now, but like I took it without studying. I saw that tweet earlier in the day and I booked it for later that day, because sometimes you can book certifications to take that same day if they have open slots for whatever you're testing. So I book it and then I do it in the afternoon, and I had at that point like maybe over 2 years of experience with Azure, like hands-on, like being in Azure every single day.
Yeah.
And I barely passed, like just enough to pass. So, it's not, and to this day I'll tell people it's not an easy certification. It's not something that you can just go and take and not worth your time. Like, especially for beginners, I think it's like definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But I would say like, don't stop there. Don't let that be your only certification. And if you only could take one, definitely go associate level.
Yes.
Yeah. But if
if their cost is a
If you can only take one between like a fundamental and associate, definitely go associate level. But if it's
start with fundamental, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare for it. Just don't sit it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the way Microsoft Learn is laid out too is that a lot of the content that you have to study for like an associate level, they'll include like the fundamental level, the knowledge that you need to know too, which I like. But yeah, if you can only pay for one, go for an associate level, but study for both. Absolutely. So I took that and it was great. I think I did probably look into like just overview of like the objectives, like the PDF.
What would be asked on the exam.
And I was like, all right, I think I can pretty much do this.
Cool.
I got a lot of this like SLA stuff, service name stuff, I got probably confused on.
Yeah, because you need to remember that, right?
And there were some Azure services like I've never heard of this before.
True.
So, but I passed. Then that was the only one I did. When did I do that? That was at the end of my cloud engineering gig.
Okay.
That was like right before I left it. Yeah. So I did get one when I was in that role.
Cloud engineering. Yeah. Okay. And then you got into ACG and you did the Linux.
Yeah.
So 4 certificates, right?
3. Right? Developer.
Oh, okay.
AZ900.
Linux. Okay.
That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah. It's pretty solid certificates, I would say.
Yeah. And then I don't think there's any other certifications I would have gotten that or felt like the AZ900 was more so to prove a point than actually for my knowledge, so that I could see that.
You're not taking it?
Not really useful.
Okay.
Yeah, not really useful. The Linux one was definitely impactful because it forced me, I had a deadline and forced me to study, but in terms of like jobs, not really. No. Yeah. But the knowledge I still use to this day.
Yeah,
like I use the Azure CLI and when you're on WSL, it's very you need to know Bash.
Yeah,
and that is what I use to like keep me accountable to learn Bash, that certification. But it's not something that I put on I don't have any certifications on my resume anymore. Right now it's just work experience.
Nice.
And projects and whatnot. But yeah, I would say like if I had to look at all my certs and be like which ones were absolutely necessary, just the developer one at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. For me, so I got into cloud, I think within like the first 8 or 9 months. Like I had like, good experience with working different AWS services, the architecture, and like why were the decisions being made for the architecture. So kind of the understanding you need to have as a cloud engineer. COVID hit. So this is, so 2019 was a year 1 as cloud engineer, and then 2020. So like after 9-10 months, COVID happened, and I was like, I have, we had funds from the company to do certification. I had the A Cloud Guru subscription still. Like let's like do something. So I had a goal in mind of sitting the solutions architect associate when I did cloud practitioner. But since, I landed the role, I was busy in like onboarding and stuff and actually playing in the AWS console. I was like, it's just a cert. So I think COVID got me to that state again. Like, okay, I need to, have the associate.
Yeah.
So I did the solutions architect associate first. But since I prepared for it, I saw someone saying that, if you plan on doing more certifications, like do them, together, because like there's a lot of overlap between all 3 associates. So I did end up doing sysops and developer associate.
And how much time? Like
2 months.
You took all 3 in 2 months?
Yeah.
Jeez, dude. Okay.
Yeah. So the first one took me a month. The sysops took me almost 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
And then the developer associate took the least amount of time because, you already have 2 associates. I think I just needed to go over a few extra things that like I could have done over a week and sat the exam. What I would change is not going that route and just do solutions architect and maybe go the pro. Like I should have gotten a pro certificate.
Okay.
Which stands for professional. So maybe a DevOps professional or
a specialty.
Or a specialty, yeah. Instead of, having all 3 associates. I don't think it made my case any stronger when it came to, jobs and stuff. So after those, I went into this rabbit hole of collecting more and more, which is bad. But
you think the impact of social media got
yeah. This is also when I started, tweeting really actively, being on LinkedIn.
Twitter,
so I was doing that thing about learning in public.
Yeah.
And I think that's when, we met is, having that 100 days of cloud. I was posting every day what I was learning to progress towards, these associate certs. And I remember like seeing your content on Azure. So I'm like, okay, I'm good and like proficient in AWS. Let's start with Azure now. So I started going through learn modules. Again, like company was funding all of this, so I still had some budget left. So I'm like, okay, let's do AZ 900. I did also plan AZ 104, but I took that in 2021. But yeah, I think I did like 13 certs
in that year
in 12 months.
Jeez.
And few of them were Oracle because they were doing like free training and stuff. And I'm like, let me check out their, platform. Yeah, it was, now that I look back, it was a weird time for me because I could have, spent that time actually learning something that would have impacted my career. I don't think like having 13 certifications impacted my career in any way. I think it was just a solid 1 or 2. Which I built my fundamental knowledge around. Everything else was just for social media, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy to get sucked into that when you
for me it was like Pokemons. Like I was collecting Pokemons.
Yeah, people want to collect those badges, but again, I say like, for what do you get out of it? You'll get like a retweet or what, like likes and whatnot, but like, is that gonna increase your salary? I mean, it might. But after like some point, Forrest Brazil, shout out Forrest, we're big fans. He has this he says like the sweet spot for certification is 2.
Yeah,
I would agree. Yeah, I would definitely agree. I would think associate level plus some sort of professional specialty is probably all you need. And if you keep like renewing that, especially if you know what you want to get into, like if you have like a developer and you couple that up with like a specialty or like a professional, and you want to get into cloud development, like, and then, okay, you get that, and then 2 years you kind of up that, and you like keep going. Like,
yeah, I think that's a good path. So what I would change is taking the solutions architect and then moving to a professional. I think I wanted to do like DevOps Pro because I ended up going into DevOps later. But that was again like I did learn those skills. If I would have picked that instead of going all these 10 extra certificates, I think that like the move would have been pretty fast. And also like all of this time that I took to pass all these certificates could have been put forward somewhere that did made an impact on my career.
Or you could have like relaxed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So the only good takeaway I think from all of these certificates I had was I decided to build the Notes app.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm like, what did I like get out of this? So I'm like, I'm just gonna publish all my notes that I sat these exams, and like, so they're all publicly available. I decided to also create a web app to just learn about more about our web framework, which was a good project, and I had more fun actually passing those certificates than like I had more fun building this project.
Yeah, than the certs. Yeah, of course, because certifications, you got to use them to their advantage, like guided learning, but there's only so much
Yeah.
That you can get out of that before you actually have to go and like build something and whatnot.
Yeah. I'm actually going to look up to give the exact list of all the certificates, but for this year, yeah, I think I did the...
You took some this year?
I think so. But yeah, I think I do want to do a professional level certificate.
I do too.
Yeah.
I definitely do. I want to do an Azure one.
Yeah. For me, I think I'll go with AWS first, and then kind of see. But yeah, I think the only thing I would change, as I said, is should have taken less. Yeah. And like save that time or utilize that time better.
I want to do 204 for sure, and then either one, because we're coming out with like a bunch of like special ones, like
they're like really specific,
Cosmos DB or virtual desktop or stuff like that, which I think could be a lot of fun. But I the 204 is like the most basic one, not most basic, but like the most like straightforward one that I could do. Like I was talking to, I remember I was looking through tweets with Linda Nichols yesterday because I'm gonna interview her, and I was preparing some questions, and I remember she told me like, with all your experience with like functions and such and things like that with Azure, you could probably sit the 204 studying like a week or so. And I'm like, interesting. Yeah, it's good to know. But best believe that when I do take a certification, it's going to be one that's going to be impactful and make sense to me. It's not. I never take those things to just to do them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I guess overall, just advice for certs is like, don't take more than 2 back to back. I mean, take one maybe, and then even then, just pace yourself and then take another one. Yeah, but you don't collect them all just to collect and just to get famous on LinkedIn, because that doesn't translate into anything.
Yeah, right. Don't do that. Yeah,
you get nothing out of that. Be smart with your time, and then I think the biggest thing, dude, was just that we took our sweet time at the beginning.
Yeah, I want to do that again.
Yeah, just sit with the certification and studying for a while. Like you don't need to rush anything. Like really absorb all the content. Like when I was studying for the 303, this was like 2 years ago, and I was making those videos, I was enjoying so much of that process because I was genuinely studying and then making like videos off of it. Yeah. Even though I didn't sit for the certification, like I learned a lot because of that. And a lot of like the architecture, like knowledge that I have now came from studying for that. But if I had like been doing like rushing through it, like I would probably not know anything. Yeah. Today, what I had studied for that one. You got your list?
Yeah. So 2021 was interesting because it took a lot of fundamentals for Azure. So AI, like I don't even use them. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
What do you have? AI?
I have the security fundamentals. So SC 900. Okay. I have the Azure AI fundamentals. I have the Azure data fundamentals. And then also, I forgot I did the Terraform Associate in 2021, which was good. I think that was a solid cert because I was learning Terraform.
Definitely one that I would keep.
Yeah. And it has an interesting story. So it was saying like I saw someone on LinkedIn saying, yeah, you should take the Terraform certificate because I was learning Terraform. Yeah. And I would like post questions or something new that I learned about it on social media. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this because I had been doing Terraform for 2 months. Yeah. So like I was ramping up and I kind of was working on some custom modules for ECI at that time. And I took the exam and I failed it. I'm like it was, I should have gone through the material. Yeah. So I did go through material and then sat like after like 5 days and passed it. So it was interesting because like for me that was the only exam that I failed up until now. But yeah, it's not just about going and sitting the exam. If you know the tech, like you said, like you found AZ900 pretty challenging.
You never know what you don't know. I mean, for lack of a better phrase. It's like just because you know a technology, there's knowledge that you can take for granted. Yeah.
But yeah,
you took some this year?
No,
nothing this year. How's that? So how do you feel with like career wise compared to last year where you were dedicated to certifications last year? Like last year you did a bunch.
Yeah, I think I did 4.
So how do you feel about like your free time now? Like because before you were doing a lot more certs, it was taking up your time, and now you're doing a lot more like videos and like streams with me, and like we got the show and whatnot. Like,
yeah, I think it's time well spent. I think I'm bringing more value not just for me. Like I'm learning.
Yeah, of course.
We talk about tech.
Yeah.
If we are doing anything with Learn to Cloud, I had to like learn and research stuff. Same thing is with my videos. Like I'm learning, I'm learning the YouTube side of things, but I'm also, so let's say I want to make a video about, like the lightning talk that I'm doing tomorrow about GitHub. So I have to, learn and research and put in the time. But by the end, you also have a great project that I could showcase.
Absolutely.
So I think, it's time well spent. If I'm doing a certificate now, it would be like pro, or if I'm, it's something required by the job.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I want to maybe be a network engineer at some company.
Yeah.
But yeah.
At this point in where I'm at in my career, it's more so just for my own learning than any kind of job requirement. Yeah. You hit a point where the experience is gonna beat everything else. But yeah, super quick one today because I do have a meeting in a couple of minutes. Yep. Did you see anything you wanted to highlight this week, or
as in
like content or anything like that?
For questions, if you're curious, because we do this segment of community questions, we did a live stream in person yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
So go check it out. We did 2 of them, and there were a bunch of questions in the chat about career, certifications, cloud, DevOps. So yeah, go check it out. CCNA.
We got a lot of good questions.
Yeah,
we haven't done one of those in a while. We did 2 streams, so check those out on my channel. There's a bunch of answers that we went through there.
Yeah, if you're looking for the question segment. I think that also counts as a community, like the shout out to ourselves. I think they were really good. I
want to give a shout out to Joseph, who's I said this on live stream the other day, but he's someone who's potentially going to join accepting an offer at a cloud gig. But he's also someone who I've been speaking to for a couple of months now. I remember he first initially reached out on LinkedIn, talked to me about how he's struggling with the Cloud Resume Challenge, but he's not going to let it get to him. And he was just telling me he would walk me through like what he's going through, but he didn't ask necessarily for help. It was more so kind of like bouncing ideas off someone.
Okay.
And then I was like, if you ever approach someone to ask for help, don't ask them like, hey, do this for me, or how can I do this? Always approach them halfway with at least half of the work done. And he definitely took that approach, which is why it was so easy to continue having conversation. So then we reached out. He's like, hey, I might be accepting this thing, and thanks so much, and at some point I would love to collaborate on content. That's someone that I would love to work with, because you put in the work and you can see their struggle and whatnot, and they're going to bring just as much value and effort to what they put out to help others. So Joseph, shout out to you. Very happy for you.
I'm just rooting for someone. I don't want to have their name. Well, if the news is positive, we will do that in the next episode.
That'd be great.
They work in help desk, and they have landed an interview at Google.
Sweet.
For a similar role that I was working at. So they had a bunch of questions. Again, they were really specific. They're like, I saw your video about the interview prep.
Yeah.
But awesome. I still have some questions. And they did ask it on chat first, and then I'm like, let's
hop on a call
because it's easier.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for them. Hopefully they get it. Yeah. But it'll be great.
It's same for anyone who I sort of builds that rapport for us. If that doesn't work for you now, we're gonna keep trying to help and keep trying to answer questions as much as we can until you get it. It's not about if it happens or it doesn't happen. It's when it does. So keep that in mind. But yeah, shout out to everyone. Check out Learn to Cloud, and that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
Peace.